Hello and welcome to day 169 of 365 days of Facebook Live. My name is Jessica Lozano and I am a women's relationship and feminine embodiment mentor, and I help women have extraordinary love lives with the love of their life, whether you are single and in preparation for union, or you are in union and are desiring to expand your intimacy, emotional and sexual, and other delicious things. So, first things first, I wanted to let you know that I am in Florida and the East Coast. So I'm not on the West Coast, thank the Lord. But I'm not sure how heavy the rainfall is going to be over here. And also, there's different models that show me go more south versus north. But I will be going live and just doing my normal programming up until I can't, where like basically wouldn't have service. It would be the reason why I couldn't. We're safe. We have all our things prepared. There's nothing much for us to do besides wait and see what happens with the hurricane. And if we need to put shutters out, we will. We have all the things that we need. Although Babe says he doesn't feel completely prepared. He's like, I really want a generator. They're all gone. I want this. I want that. He wants to get sandbags because we are pretty close to that evacuation area, the flood zone. We are 16 feet above. However, you just honestly we're just so close to that area that I think having sandbags is still very important for us to have, especially because I remember the entrance of our neighborhood getting flooded, like me being scared to just drive my car through that, and there was no hurricane, it was just heavy normal Florida rain. So but either way, we're good, everything's good. I'm gonna keep going as normal. I am the kind of person that I don't panic until there's a reason to panic. And even when there is a reason to panic, I need to go back into my heart, back into my root. And of course, being with a masculine man, leaning onto him, and trusting his leadership, which I really, really, really do. I know, and Ron is so calm, almost too calm, with certain things sometimes, but it's good for me because I can totally, as a woman, we're more emotional, but I can get pretty anxious. So just a little update on that. Okay, so now what I want to talk about today, I want to talk about something that, which, saying all this, I feel like I should do a nervous system regulation Facebook Live. I feel like that should be something that I do because this is really important. As most of us, when we hear something horrible, we just panic, and so many people panic. As people who are local will know that, people just go crazy. I mean, during the whole COVID thing, you saw how people panicked and just were really irresponsible with products and things like that. So anyways, maybe I should do something like that. Okay, back to our normal programming. So I've been reading this book, as I mentioned a couple of times already, perhaps. I know I have some content laid out because this book inspired it for me. I've been reading this book called Getting to I Do. And what I love about this book, even though it is a little outdated, is that it really clearly defines the energetics. Very simple, of masculine and feminine, of men being the thinker and women being the feeler, and her definition of narcissist, which I thought was genius. I'm like, oh my God, that is so fucking true. When she's put it out there like that, I'm like, yes, that's exactly how it felt. So in this book, she tells you need to pick, as a woman, you need to pick whether you want to be a male or a female, right? So this book was written in the 1990s. So still really good. I still recommend because there's a lot of good meat and potatoes in there. Most women now want to be the female, but there's some outliers out there who want to be the male, who are more in the male energy, I guess. I mean, I believe that there's common things that most people are, and then you have your outliers, and there's nothing wrong with those outliers, with people who just do things differently, and that's perfectly fine. I think that's beautiful. I think we need things like that. That's diversity, right? So anyways, you're either male or female, right? If you're the female in the relationship, right? Even if you're a female and you decide you want to be more male dominant in your energy, that's what this means. Either you're a female woman, or you're a male female woman, which just means that female means that you are really going to be a descended energy. You are really dropping down into your heart. You're dropping down into your womb, and you're a feeling person. You want to always be asked how you are feeling about something. How do you feel about this? If you are a male woman, you more masculine woman, then you are more into the thinking, more into the ideas, more into the problem solving type of thing, right? You're up here. Now, remember, we always have both of these always going on at the same time. It doesn't mean that you are always feeling and you're never thinking, or you're always thinking and you're never feeling. That's just not how we operate. That's impossible. It really is. But this is more of the way that you want to interact in your relationship, right? So if you're the female and you're in the relationship, you are more feeling based, most of the time. And then as a male, you are more of the thinking based. So a narcissist is one that uses both logic and thinking and feelings. Okay, so here's another part that I didn't mention. I just saw my notes here. They want both respect and cherishment, right? As a woman who is more feeling based, you really want to feel cherished and adored. You want your feelings to be taken into consideration. You want to know, like, if something hurts you, you want to feel like the person took responsibility, that they were going to make you feel better, that they're so sorry for hurting you, and all of the things. We want to feel cherished. We want to feel adored. We want roses brought to us, right? Like a beautiful bouquet of roses that, just smell. This white one, I don't know what the name of this rose is, or a flower. Oh, it just smells so good. I'm just smelling it all the time, right? We want to feel adored. We want to be taken out shopping. We want to be taken out, kind of like shown off a little bit. Like, hey, honey, let's take you out to dinner. You don't have to cook tonight. Let's go have dinner. I'm going to give you a beautiful gift for your birthday that shows you that I really care about you and that I'm thinking about you. I'm, really just her heart is taken care of, right? That's a woman. That's how we operate in our cherishment. Imagine me bringing flowers to Ron, and he'd be like, what the fuck is this? I think he'd be like, what the hell is happening here? Why are you bringing me flowers? Like, what's going on? He's going to feel uncomfortable, and it's going to feel not right. That's going to be something that he's just like, right? Because that's not the primary thing. Respect is what the logical man really desires, really wants, really feels. This is how he feels loved, by being respected, by his ideas being respected. Doesn't mean that you are a yes woman and a people pleaser and you say everything, you agree with everything. But what it means is that you don't put down his ideas, you don't put down his logic, you don't put down his reasoning and things like that. You respect his leadership, you respect what he's doing in the world. Like, men really want the respect, right? That's what they really care for. If I tell Ron, thank you so much for taking me out to dinner, you did such a great job at work today. If you told me about something and really show him how much I respect and appreciate him, that is how men respond. That's how men, not respond, that's how men feel loved, right? The more I tell Ron something like that, the more I show him respect and show him appreciation, the more it feels good for him as a man. That's what they want, what they're doing, putting out into the world, to be respected. Not loved and adored, like, oh my God, that's so cute what you did. That's so adorable. They don't want that. That's not respect. Respect is like, whoa. Like, I take you really fucking seriously. I take what you think very seriously. I take your wisdom very seriously. I take your direction very seriously. Like you take your person seriously. That is respect. Like, having a certain level of admiration for this person. So a narcissist wants both. So women, cherishment and feelings, men, logic and respect, right? Heart. Women, heart and womb. Men, just live up here. Like in the head. Very simple. It's like men's domain is here in the head, and the woman is just like, boom, like everything below the neck is the woman, like the neck and below. So a narcissist is going to want both respect and cherishment. They want to be both the female and the male. They are there's this fireworks with freaking Instagram or freaking Facebook. They want both, which is why it's so confusing, because there's times where they want the cherishment, and then they give you logic, then they want logic, but then they ask for cherishment. It is so confusing with them. And they will represent both masculine and feminine energies. I'm gonna give you an example. Most narcissistic men that I have ever known, where from my own personal experiences and also from other partners, people that I know were in narcissistic relationships, they love receiving gifts. They love receiving gifts. Now, I know that a man could love to receive a gift too, yes, and all the things, but primarily I feel like gift receiving is a feminine thing. Like, I remember my ex one day, I got lingerie for something, for like anniversary or birthday or something like that, and he got mad at me because he thought, well, this is again the logic and the logic and the feelings just get intertwined, because he obviously, as a man, he loves sex, right? So I'm gonna get some lingerie and all the things. He said that I used that money for myself, that I got the lingerie for me, that I didn't really get it for him, and basically he wanted like something else. It's like, what the fuck, are you fucking kidding me? Like, right now, why would I get lingerie for me? I don't go around wearing lingerie out in public. If I got it for me, that's what I would do it for. I got it for you, but because I was spending money on me, because it's something that I was wearing on my body. That's just like a super simple example. Another thing is that when my brother was in the hospital, for the first couple months that he was in the hospital, he was so good. He was very good with helping and being supportive. And then after that, he said something along the lines that I wasn't paying enough attention to him, and that, something along the lines that I need to pay more attention to him. I was like, are you fucking kidding me right now? I was like, my brother was literally in the hospital, bedridden. I'm there helping him out every single minute, and you dare to tell me that I wasn't thinking of you, wasn't giving you enough time? I was like, bro, like, seriously. But that's just an example, right, of like the cherishment aspect, emotional aspect. There's a lot of feminine character traits in narcissistic men. Because of this, they want both. They use logic and logic and feelings and they pick whichever one is best for their own argument. Now, women can be the same like this too, right? I know some women who want to be the female, yet they are in their masculine a lot in their relationship, and they don't know how to undo that. They don't know the proper steps yet. So when they in the relationship, they come off both emotional and logical. Like, they want certain things, but then they out logic their partner or whatever it is. It's just not going to work. Like, you have to pick which one. Again, does not mean that you never use your brain. That's not what this is. This means that you are primarily feeling into the energy of what your partner is doing. And if something doesn't feel good to you, you let your partner know, this doesn't feel good to me. This doesn't feel good to me. There's something about this feels wrong. Something about this feels off. Something about this feels really good to me. This feels so exciting to me. I feel so good. I feel so loved. I feel cherished. I feel adored. I feel angry. I feel mad. I feel sad. I feel confused. I feel frustrated. Can you help me? Right? So you can still communicate with your partner what you're feeling about something and have a discussion with him about something, but you're primarily in the descendant body, right? So I just want to get that very clear, because I know with the sexual polarity, it can seem like, oh, that you're just completely surrendered to him. And like, sometimes it can seem like that, but it doesn't mean that at all. It means that your posturing is more of an open heart, open womb, leaning back. This is why it's so important to pick a man, to be with a man, right? That you trust his leadership, that you trust him as a man, you respect him as a man. So with this being said, this is why women who have low self-love and low self-worth get more entangled with men who are narcissistic, or men who want to be more in the feminine, and and then you become more the masculine, although you don't want that. That is because women who lack self-love and lack self-worth are actually very disconnected to their heart and to their womb, because they are easily manipulated out of what they are feeling by logic. That is something that would happen to me all the time, and to my clients who have been in narcissistic relationships who are becoming like whole again, and healing from that. That's the common thing. It's like they felt a certain way and they would logic and reason themselves out of what the other person, they would allow themselves to be out logicked based on your feelings. You can't out logic feelings. You just really can't. My ex tried to do that all the time. And I remember the very first time that I didn't listen to him over something really small, but I really, really wanted to do it. There was a food and allergies test that I wanted to take. My body, this was back in like 2015. My body was to the point where I was in really debilitating pain. I could only do one specific cardio machine and like 5 exercises. Very frustrating as a personal trainer, as a woman who was a gymnast growing up in her childhood, competitive gymnast, loved to move her body. Okay. So at this point in my life, I had decided that I wasn't going to beat my body up anymore. Instead, I was going to work with it and try to avoid it from getting worse, right? I'm like 26 years old and I'm already feeling like I'm an 80-year-old lady. So that didn't feel good to me. So I was like, I just want to prevent myself from feeling like 90 or 100 within the next 50 years. So what kept showing up in my space was food and allergies testing. I was like, let's try this out. I went to go tell my ex about our, partner at the time. And he was giving me all the facts as to why this should not be good. Now, at the time, old me would have said, you know what, maybe I would allow myself to get convinced of it versus saying, this feels really good to me. I respect that you don't agree. But this is what I really want to do. This feels good to me and I want to try it out. That's what, and then I basically did say that. I said, I hear you. I was like, I hear you and I still want to try it, right? Because it was like 50-50 chance. I did it, and guess what? It was one of the best decisions ever, because it turns out that I was gluten sensitive. I had a gluten sensitivity and it attacked my muscles, my joints, and my bones. Okay. So and he did, like I mentioned, he tried to out logic me and try to look up all the facts and all the reasons as to why I shouldn't do it, right? But I felt in my heart that this is something I really wanted to try because it felt good for me to try this out, at least give it a shot. It was $210 for the blood test and for a consultation with a nutritionist. I was like, I feel like it's worth it. It was my money that I was spending and I really wanted to do it. Okay. That changed everything for me. It was like one of the things like, oh my God, wow, I should listen to myself more often, right? And if worst case scenario, if nothing happened, I at least knew from my own experience, because I chose to do it, not because I allowed somebody else to out logic me, because I still felt that it was right. Worst case scenario, I would learn more about me, and that's it. And at least felt good about going through with it, and knew, because I went through from what felt good to me, and instead of not doing it because he said so and then always wondering if I should have done it. Do you get what I'm saying? So this is why narcissistic relationships are very confusing, because they position themselves as both the male and the female, and there's other qualities in there that aren't they're usually, it's also very self-centered. But again, the reason why they position themselves both as male and female is because they're always like, they're self-centered. It's whatever emotion feels best for them. So back to the self-worth and the self-love. If you have enough self-worth and enough self-love, you will honor your heart and what you're feeling, right? I did not have a lot of self-worth. That's why I was allowed myself to get manipulated from the very first time that I remember sending him an email about how I felt, and he completely destroyed me on his response. And I remember saying, I feel like he doesn't care. I feel like he doesn't care. He doesn't care about me. He doesn't care about me. I wiped off those tears. I wiped off those tears like a good girl and replied back logically. Right then and there was the first sign for me. I mean, way before that was the signs, but this was the first time that my feelings weren't appreciated. Now, another reason why women with low self-worth and low self-love will get involved with a narcissist or with a man that they can't, let's just stick to the topic of narcissist, or let's say more masculine energy that you want to be, is because you will then overgive to the man. Because you don't feel a lot of self-worth or self-love, you will overgive love. You will overgive, more like overgive sex, overgive money, overgive time, overgive whatever, you fill in the blank, gifts, overgive on all the things, bend over backwards, overgive on your personality, lose yourself because you're overgiving, you're trying to make this person happy, and you will lose yourself because of the lack of self-love and self-worth. Because when we love ourselves, we know that when we're overdoing something, it doesn't feel right. Something feels off. We know that when someone says something to us, maybe they make it sound like they make it look like it sounds good, but your feeling body is like, I don't know about that. That doesn't feel right to me. There's something about that that's off. We have to listen to that. This is like our one of our greatest strengths as a woman. We have to listen to that. When a man creates a grand gesture after you've had a really bad fight where he makes you feel like shit, then he comes back with a grand gesture, and something about that kind of feels off, even though you fully accept it, and half of you feels like, oh my God, look what he did. Logically, this sounds like, this sounds good. This looks good. But your body's like, something about this doesn't feel right. And you kind of close down, just even by 1%. You need to listen to that. When my ex came back for me, my mind as a woman was telling me, go back to him. Look at what he did. He came back for you. He did the whole knight in shining armor thing. This is what you really wanted. He did it, right? But my body physically was having a reaction to him no, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. My feeling body was like, no. Do you see the difference here? Do you see why when we are not connected with our heart and our feelings in our womb, that we can easily be manipulated, controlled, and swooped away by a narcissist or someone who has narcissistic-like qualities, right? Because apparently narcissistic is a personality disorder. And, I think a lot of us can have a little bit of all these other personalities out there, right? But there's different levels to it. I feel like there's a completely different levels to these certain things. And also when we are also a feminine woman and we end up being more masculine woman in a relationship, it can look like our partner is also a narcissist because they're trying to use logic and all these other things. So there's so much more that goes on behind a true narcissistic personality disorder. I think there's spectrums to different things, but the way that this woman described it, Dr. Pat Allen, in her book, I was like, this is exactly how it is. Because I would always say that they're just confusing, right? And I would say that they would try to out logic you, or they would try to out fact you, but you have to listen to your feelings and your heart, right? And again, not all feelings are true. So sometimes, okay, I'm going to give you a great example. If you're having a problem with this is what I did, because it was hard for me to really understand what I was feeling and to process what I was, I knew what I felt, but I didn't have a way to really, not maybe rationalize could be the word, or to really understand. So I knew what I was feeling, and through with my feelings, I used my discernment, my mind, my consciousness to break down what I was feeling. Like literally like a first grader. I'm not even kidding you. A lot of us who've been in narcissistic relationships or very dysfunctional relationships, it's almost like starting from ground zero, because we weren't ever really taught these things because our parents didn't have the tools to do that. They did their best, but they just didn't have the tools. So now we are relearning it as an adult. I had to really ask myself, like, okay, what exactly am I feeling about this? Does this feel good? Yes or no? Why does this not feel good, or why does this feel good? When it came down to certain arguments that we would have, I would have to ask myself yes or no questions. But this is you asking your feelings yes or no question. This is not you asking, how would I say this? This isn't trying to, you can't use, okay, let me get back to that part. But you have to use more of like, when you're learning how to feel your energy, when you're building your self-worth and your self-love, and you are trying to understand how you feel, because that's a big part of self-love and self-worth, is knowing how you feel and knowing what you stand for as a woman through your feminine body. You have to ask yourself these like yes or no questions when you're trying to relearn this as an adult, like a kindergartner, like seriously, no joke. And there's nothing to be ashamed about. As soon as obviously, as you get old, as you start to get better at it, you're so much more in tuned with your feelings and what you feel and the descriptions of them, because you've already had a lot of experience. So what you're feeling is going to be a lot easier and faster. And still, to this day, I still have to like really ask myself sometimes, okay, what am I really feeling here? And break it down still, like at very basic levels, because sometimes we always have to return to the basics. That's always the foundation. So you ask yourself yes or no questions. Okay, I'm feeling off. Okay, what about this is feeling off? How am I feeling? Do I feel good or bad about this feeling? About this, whatever is being presented in front of me? Okay, I feel bad. Okay, what about this makes me feel bad? Is it this or is it that? Like sometimes you can ask yourself really yes or no questions, really black and white questions, so that you don't go into this gray area, and really learn to understand what you are feeling and come to your own conclusion. And you're staying with the feeling. A lot of women who are in these relationships or in any kind of dysfunctional relationship, we will go with like, yeah, but, and then we'll go back into logic, but these other times feel really good. Like we're not talking about those other times. So we're talking about this isolated moment right here and right now. We're not talking about the good. We're not talking about the good half. We're talking about this half that you don't feel good and you want to work through that, and you don't want to keep repeating the same patterns. You want to build your self-love and your self-worth on this side of the spectrum, right? So why are we going over it? This is your mind trying to take you over there. It's like, no, don't do that. You're staying here. The other thing that I did was I had to ask myself questions like, is he right and I'm wrong? Am I right and he's wrong? Or is this an agree to disagree? This is how, like, literally so black and white like that for me to understand my own truth, which truth is here. To me, truth is like in your heart. It's like, or it's actually kind of more like a full body, like a whole spine alignment. I feel like truth comes from like the top here down to my root. But when we're not in our truth, we're like, we're out here somewhere and not here. Right? Not here. So I would have to ask myself these really, really basic questions, like so basic, but they're so important, because you may not even know what your truth is. And until you know what your truth is, you're going to bend for whatever anybody else says. So if you know your truth, so like if it would be like, I'm right and he's wrong in this situation, this is what I believe, this is my truth. Okay, I'm going to take that as information. If it's an agree to disagree, it's like, you know what? I'm not going to argue about this anymore. I don't need to be right. We're agreeing to disagree. At least I know my truth on this, right? And when I say that I'm right and he's wrong, it was more about things of like, how I wanted to be treated in a relationship, how I wanted to feel loved in a relationship, how I wanted my standards and the way that we do things in a relationship be, right? That's how I meant like I'm right and he's wrong. It's kind of like that type of way that I was describing that. So this is all about getting to know, you get to know your feelings, and then you have to use your discernment sometimes to break that down, right? You have to use your discernment to break it down. Now, if you're a woman who's had a lot of trauma, and especially a lot of sexual trauma, this is even more where it's like really important to to use your discernment with your feelings, but understanding your feelings first and all the things that you're feeling, and really start to detangle all of that. Because for a lot of women who have been in these really, really horrible, experiences in life, what we can think as intuition is actually not intuition or not feeling. So it's sometimes our intuition can be messed up in not knowing what the right answer, not really discerning what intuition is and what your immediate reaction is. Those are two different things, right? Intuition is down here, like it's in the body. And your immediate reaction to things like, oh, my immediate response to this, it could be a fear-based response, and you're thinking that it's intuition, right? So this is where we also had to fact check yourself. And you can look at past places and like you yourself, this is not anybody else doing it. You're looking at your own behavior and like, okay, did I actually jump into things too quickly? And it was actually fear that was inner child wounds that I was thinking was intuition, when it actually was not intuition, it was my inner child wounds coming up, right? So it's really important to be, to know yourself and know where you are. So you have to this is why using being in union with both of these is important, but always descending into your feminine feeling body and really anchoring in your self-love and your self-worth is like the foundation of all of this. And there's things that you can do to build that, things that we need to remove, old identities that we have to step out of and step into your new identity in order for you to really embrace this new version of yourself. It really is a true phoenix rising, 100,000%. So if you are in this place, if you have been in these types of relationships, and you are like, I'm a feminine woman, I want to be the feminine woman, and I want to be in these relationships, I'm still kind of having a little recovery feeling type of PTSD with these relationships, even though I want to be in union and I'm in preparation for it. Like your mind is like, I am preparing for union for sacred union. My 6-month mentorship, Sacred Union, is for you. This is all about the woman who is in preparation for union and who wants to be that like worthy woman who is adored and cherished by her king. This is a 6-month container. There's so much that goes into it that I can share so much more with you. If you're interested, if you want to learn more about it, highly recommend this program for women who are walking this path. It is like seriously like the shit. Like you are going to come out like this beautiful, sovereign, feminine embodied woman. I also have a portal experience for you called Relationship Goddess Portal, which is about descending into your feminine and de-armoring this guarded masculine on the outside so that your true authentic self can truly shine and you're not so forward moving with men and in your life, which is not where we want to be. That's not the posturing we want as a woman. So message me for information for both of these. What else? I think that's all I have for now. And I had a lot to say today. Let's see how long I talked for. How long? 30 minutes, I'm going to say. Yep, 33:44 as soon as I saw that. Go figure. All right, beautiful. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.